this is real. This defense is so good. They covered up for some of the, rust on the offense. I'm not worried about the offense. And I feel better about my Cowboys Super Bowl pick now than I ever have.
Enjoy it, because last night was a total aberration in every possible way.
No.
If I told you, we could have started the show instead of that angle. Hey, guess what happened in week 1? Dak Prescott was 13 for 24, 143 yards, and the Cowboys ran for 4.1 yards per carry in the post-Ezekiel Elliott thing. You'd be, oh, my God, the sky is falling. We are terrible.
No, I would say, did Dak Prescott turn the ball over in bad weather? No, he didn't.
Did Dak Prescott throw it to Giants DBs about 6 times, and it was too wet to catch the ball? First of all, Dak didn't have to do anything. He should have just gone home in the second quarter. He still threw it to the other team multiple times. I have no idea what he was doing.
Okay, but here's the thing. It's not even really about Dak Prescott, because this was about a Cowboys defense that was thoroughly suffocating to the Giants. And the Giants are a team that was a playoff team a year ago and a team that many people had high hopes for going into this season, and they had no answer. And here's the thing. Both teams had to play in the rain.
Yeah.
Both teams had to find a way to play mistake-free football. One team did. That's the Cowboys. They deserve all the accolades they're getting today.
All right, first of all, because Pollard had a fumble at the 10-yard line, which would normally be a cardinal sin in football, but the Cowboys recovered it, where every time the Giants fumbled the ball, they lost it. So I think that there's a huge element of luck.
This is all luck last night.
I think 100% of that storyline. Of course, Micah Parsons was killing the Giants because they had to throw the ball in the rain because they were down 16-0 because one guy fumbled the ball right into the cornerback's hands, and the center for the Giants couldn't snap the ball. So basically, the score was 40-0, but it was 26-0 at half. And the Cowboys offense had no part of that 26 points. They were just gifted. It was a ridiculously I looked outside my window during the game. It looked like a movie set. There was so much rain coming down, and you could see it at the stadium. How are the Giants going to pass the ball?
Okay, but Perloff, they both had to play in the rain, and one team put up 40 points and the other team put up 0 points. It'd be one thing if they lost by a field goal or a touchdown. This was so lopsided.
Well, it started. I mean, listen, it's one of those games. Once the Cowboys got that lead in the beginning,
yeah,
they
have the formula.
The Giants were the Giants center. I don't know what
He's
he
a
was
rookie.
Doing. They should have benched him. I guess there was nothing else to do. But I don't blame Daniel Jones. Did not look bad at all to me. He didn't look good or bad. He looked like
like his back on the ground because he was in a crumpled heap all night.
But even so, I mean, you could not throw the football. So once you're down 16-0, you can see what was going to happen. They had to drop back, and Micah Parsons just pinned his ears back. That's not going to happen every week. They're going to be in much closer games. I agree. The defense is incredibly impressive.
They're so good.
I mean, the Cowboys are clearly going to be 12-5. But before you write into the Super Bowl, just remember they've been 13-3, 12-5 tons of times in the post-1996 Jerry era.
Yeah.
The problem comes in the playoffs, and I don't know, you did see a little I love Dak, but you saw a little shakiness even last night. Don't judge anything on that. You didn't even see the Cowboys weren't even challenged.
Okay, but here's the thing. I saw a team that didn't play any of its starters on the offense or the defense in the preseason, and look at how good they looked. All that considered.
Offense definitely did not look good.
Okay, well, all that considered, I mean, Daniel Jones, he might not have been the worst thing about last night, but in that game, put up the lowest passer rating he's ever had. It's not like Dak, they didn't look great, but it wasn't like historic all-time lows in terms of bad output. Daniel Jones was terrible.
Dak had a 72.0 rating, and he didn't even throw a pick.
Daniel Jones was like 30.
Yeah, but he had to throw the ball. If Dak was on the Giants, so look at the first drive. The Giants looked great. The first drive, they came right down the field. Then what happened? The guy snapped it into oblivion.
Yeah.
So they lost 25 yards, and then they tried a field goal attempt that was returned for a touchdown.
Okay.
I mean, once that happened, then the next drive down, the ball came out and the sopping wet football flew into the air. Of course, that was a rain-caused turnover.
Okay, but so why couldn't the Giants be opportunistic then? Why was it only the Cowboys were opportunistic? And then the other part is, then explain to me the other 3 and outs that happened to the Giants. I mean the Giants, they had no answer.
They did move the ball down, and they missed field goals, and they turned the ball over, and all sorts of things happened. It's one of those games where once you get the lead, you can just pour it on. No pun intended about pouring it on. Honestly, do you think that the Cowboys are 40 points better than the Giants?
They maybe 36 points better than the no.
So you think the Giants are going like 2-15, 3-14?
I don't think they're going 2-15, but I do not think that they're taking a step forward. I did say I thought they were going to take a step back. This is probably not as stark as 40-0. That's not how the season is going to go. But there's no doubt that if you are a Cowboys supporter, you've got to be feeling great. 855-212-4CBS. But you also have to feel like, man, not a lot new here. Since Dak Prescott has been the starter, they've won 11 in a row against the Giants. I mean, this has just not even been competitive, really.
And what has it meant?
Well, okay. What has it meant? The Giants have had more terrible seasons. At least the Cowboys are making the playoffs, now not getting past the divisional round. But with a defense like this, I think this is what changes about Dallas. They finally have a defense.
This defense was great. Micah Parsons was amazing last year.
I know, but this is another step. This is he didn't win defensive player of the year last year. He's the favorite to do it this year. I mean, you want to talk about how Stephon Gilmore has gotten old. Well, he had a nice interception last night. I think that they've even taken a step forward. They are so fierce and finally maybe can go really, really toe-to-toe with San Francisco's defense, who also looked great yesterday, and the San Francisco offense also looked awesome.
But I mean, they totally shut down San Francisco in the playoffs last year. It didn't really matter, though, because San Francisco's defense also looks amazing.
Yeah, and they were the other team that was on the other side of a lopsided butt-whooping, San Francisco taking on the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I wish we could fast forward. I wish the Cowboys could go 15-2, because I would like to talk to you the Friday before their divisional playoff game and see where your faith is.
You don't have to wait that long. They play each other. Dallas is at San Francisco on October 8th.
My point is, the Cowboys do this all the time. What does it matter? Show me something in the playoffs. And you know that's a dicey proposition. It always is. They were 12-5 the last two seasons.
Well, the irony is that with all these great quarterbacks in the AFC, it might be three teams in the NFC that are actually the best teams in football. It's possible. The way Dallas looked last night, the way San Francisco looked yesterday afternoon. Your Eagles was a bit more of a struggle, but we know that they still are a great team. 855-212-4CBS, 855-212-4227. Man. One game. That's a lot, especially. So if you count that, like, what do you think of the Cleveland-Cincinnati output that was totally a rain game? It shouldn't have meant a single thing. I thought that Joe Burrow, that was embarrassing output for them. Why? It was a monsoon. Okay, but it was a monsoon where the Browns defense looked for real. For real, yeah. Any defense looks for real when you cannot throw or catch a football because it's sopping wet. But somehow the Browns managed to put points on the board. And it wasn't even just like with Dallas where it was, fueled by special teams. The Cleveland's offense was nothing to write home about. It was terrible. No, they were nothing to write home about, and I am a little concerned about Deshaun Watson. How could you not be? But at least they found a way to put points on the board. If you're an elite quarterback and you are good defense and you're a good offense, to put 3 points or no points on the board, I mean, you're telling me that's a walk in the park? Everyone should be like la-di-da if you're a Bengal fan, if you're a Giant fan today? No way. Okay, let me remind you of a few historical games. Last year, San Francisco played Chicago week 1 in the rain. Meant absolutely nothing. Well, they had a different quarterback. That was a Trey Lance game. They ended up doing all the damage in the regular season with Brock Purdy. It did not matter. Nobody could throw the football. 2 years ago, Green Bay played San Francisco for some reason, Lambeau froze over in a way that made it impossible to take 4 steps without falling down. The score was 13-10 on a block punt. That's all that happened. How about the win game with Mac Jones and Josh Allen, Buffalo against New England? Of course you can't. There are certain conditions that you cannot throw the football in. You just write so if every you rain game I write off. You write every bad weather game off. Every rain game in week 1 I completely write off. It means nothing. I would not take it to mean anything for the rest of the year. Okay, but you just mentioned one rain game from week 1 and then 2 playoff games. Or one playoff game and another late season game. Right. Okay, so you would just write off all weather games, whether it's week 1 or whether it's in the playoffs, because that's not how football is. Severe weather games are not really indicative of what's coming next. I don't think so. Of course, that Buffalo-New England game where Mac Jones threw the ball less than 5 times. Yeah. It was windy. It was 2 years ago.
that did not show, oh, New England's a better team than Buffalo. Of course Buffalo beat them the next time out. They were the much better team that year.
Right.
But New England took advantage of the weather, and I hate to say it, there's a lot of luck involved. Last night, Tony Pollard gets the ball knocked out. It goes 20 yards downfield, and a Cowboys guy falls on it. I'm sorry, it's just totally random. Do you remember the Fog Bowl with the Eagles and the Bears in 1987?
No.
Well, I'll tell you right now,
I don't want to hear about it.
The Eagles were robbed.